Yeah, yeah, look at this, look. It's no wonder they say that poles are thick. Look what it says here. It says, pos chattage, pos voyim pussy. Huh. See that? Pos chattage, pos voyim pussy. It's not a pussy, it's a dog. Crazy. That's how silly they are in this country. They put a picture of a dog and then write pussy next to it. Mind you, nah, I won't even go there. Right, just arriving in Warsaw, been to the bank. That's the temperature. It's been very sunny in the earlier part of the day, but the clouds have started to amass coming up from the southern end. The weather forecast said they'd come from the west, but the appearances appear to be rather from the south. I suppose that's because the wind is southerly anyway, so it's dragging the westerly clouds up from the south. And they look quite dark, don't they? There's obviously a light bit, but and it would be very bright still if the clouds weren't there, so all the sun is hitting at them from the top. And you would think that that would mean that the temperature would go down a bit, so that's after it's already after the effect of the clouds in shielding it off. It would probably be closer to 40 if it wasn't for that. It's 36, as you can see, with that. And I just think that, apart from the fact that there's a bit of a cloud that looks like a bit of a map, yeah, like I don't know if you can see this bit here. It looks a little bit like Asia, like the bit where China's bottom comes out. Yeah, that's one thing. There's some little black birds there just flying around the bottom. I hope they're birds and not actual poop. But in any event, yeah, it's interesting because it's easy to have like a headache in this situation because it's such an oppressive. I've got this thing climate on low, but to be honest with you, I might as well forget it because it makes no difference whether I put the thing on or I leave it off. It's the same. It simply doesn't work. This doesn't work. It's disagreement. But it looks as though there's going to be rain, doesn't it? That's what I'm hoping for. I remember last year in the hospital with pneumonia, just looking out the window, just hoping that the storm clouds would come, spit their rain out all over us and cool it down by a few degrees, so that it might get conceivably under 30 degrees. I mean, it was really like getting over 40 degrees in those days. It was really ridiculously hot, and I just couldn't deal with it. When I get home, I can run a cold bath. That's the best way to keep cool. But I certainly need to do that because it's whew. And 36 degrees on the street, that's blood temperature. That's the temperature of your blood that it is all around you at the moment. So you don't need to use any calories at all to keep your body warm, because your body's now at the same temperature as the outside world. You're behaving like a cold-blooded animal because you don't need to heat yourself. So obviously you become sluggish, and everything seems to, be a big effort, because if you do make an effort, you get all covered in sweat to try and cool you back down again. So really bad, really, for me, the worst weather of the year, because I can take the cold, being built as I am in a kind of walrus-like way, except for the teeth. I don't have walrus's teeth. You might say elephant seal, maybe. I don't have that big a nose either, but you know, you get the idea. And so, as you can see, it all goes very, very slowly. It's rush hour, even though it's the holiday period, and normally you would expect it to go quite fast. Somehow there are still enough cars here. A couple of days' time, the thingy sets off, the pilgrimage. I've filmed it one time before going off. Will I even know? I don't like the look of that. Ah, that's more like it. So obviously I've got petrol problems. I've got to go and get some petrol. I've ran out. It always does that. No matter how much I put in, it always goes after a while. And then it wants more. It puts this little light on and says, give me more, give me more. So, have to do that, otherwise the car will stop. And I don't fancy that. It's going to be very foo-ben. It'd be very foo-ben if the car stops. Having the car not stopping is Ben-Ri. But it's foo-ben if the car stops. Okay. So kuruma ga is it tomaru or tomeru? I never work out what the passives and or the intransitives and transitives. But let's say it's tomaru. Tomi, I suppose it would be, wouldn't it? Third base. Tomi takunai desu. Okay. If you're a real Japanese student who does it the whole time and who does it more fluently than me, you can pick the holes out of that sentence. Well, go on then, go on then, go on, only just don't hold up the whole traffic. Well, at least you're apologetic. That's half the trouble then. If half the trouble is that most people aren't apologetic, whereas at least this guy was, so I'll let him off in my mind. This is it, if somebody apologises, you should immediately forgive them, unconditionally. That's what it says. Except obviously in the case where somebody's just taking the mickey and they're not really, you can tell that their apology is totally insincere, and in which case you might take a view on it. But oh, look at those two, those are having a bit of a fight in the sky. It's a wonderful thing though, if everybody adhered to that, accepting somebody else's apology and giving them the benefit of the doubt, and then not being annoyed with them anymore, forcing oneself not to be annoyed because they acknowledge that they received an apology. Wouldn't that be a better world to live in? I'm sure that the Lord Jesus Christ knew what he was doing when he told us to behave that way. So think about that one. Immediately my anger disappeared because he just did that thing with his lights. One time I got a bit look as I was going to be in a bit of an argument, and some bloke left his car and came up to mine and looked as though he was about to get into a bad situation, and I thought, oh, I don't fancy scrapping with this guy. But I had been in the wrong, and I immediately said, yeah, I was in the wrong, sorry. And he said, you are so lucky. And I said, why? And because I accept apologies. And if I hadn't, I had in mind to really beat you up. So worth thinking of. That's for sure. I don't think I even necessarily came a very good way, but never mind. My daughter used to go to that school. She's now stopped. She will start in a different place. She didn't want to carry on in the middle school that they offer in that place. It's a bit smaller and it's also private. I was ready to pay for it because they have smaller class sizes. But she said, no, I don't want to do that, I want to do a different one. So I said, well, you know, if you want, you can have the one you want, but you must take responsibility for your choice and then work. That means working, making a success of it. So she said she agreed, so we'll see if she keeps to it. So far she hasn't really kept anything she's ever promised me. So, which is a little bit worrying, but never mind, we'll see what happens. It's all part of growing up, isn't it? That's perhaps a little bit of an exaggeration to say she's never kept anything, and obviously she could be a lot worse than she is, but I still have moments of bitter disappointment, as does, I'm sure, every parent, although they may not be willing to fess up to it. But we'll see. Hopefully the time will come. I'm always hoping that the time will come when she kind of wises up a little bit and starts really working on the rest of her education. And if she does it now, I'll have to say that it would be about the same time as I did it, so I wouldn't be able to say anything like, oh, I started to wise up and start behaving properly earlier than you did, because really, I mean, I have to say that it wasn't until the third year that I started behaving at all well. The second year that she's just been in, which was, she's an equivalent of what was my second year, that was also my worst year at school, really awful. I started wising up in the third year. So and the third year started to be really a complete change. So I'm just hoping that she'll do the same thing. I started to really produce some impressive results because I put my mind to it, I started to apply myself to it. And I don't know, if she does that, then she should be able to achieve impressive results as well. But now she's got a change in school, which means she's got an excellent opportunity to start over, which I didn't really have. I had to go back and carry the can with my bad reputation from the second year and the first year, rebuild it all over. So she's got an opportunity now to do it properly, to do her schoolwork and to do the homework, to take notes in class instead of just having useless note-free lessons with nothing to revise from afterwards. That's crazy. I mean, I'd like her to do gold list based schoolwork, but that might be hard because she's got to stick with the rest of what the class is doing. Gold list comes into its own more when you can determine your own study, unless you've got any enlightened teachers out there that want to try the gold list, in which case, yeah, try it, explain it to them how it works to the kids, see if they want to do it. I mean, I think that from the age of about 14, 15, they should be able to understand what it's based on and give it a go. And if they can see, those with a bit more emotional intelligence, that can see that it may not be quite as fun as some of the other ways of learning, but with lots of pictures and role play and all that shit, but at least it'll get you there with less work in total and less time wasted on faffing around, and you'll get some real results. And some of the more emotionally intelligent kids of 14 and 15, I think they will appreciate it. From 16 on, I'd hope that more would appreciate it, and from 18 on, I should think that most people ought to be able to appreciate the goal list method. And it's really interesting because I'm actually feeling the dampness now in the air coming in through the window. I bet it's probably what will happen is that when I put the petrol in the car now in BP, I'll probably have to turn my thing off because people think it's a mobile phone and go that it's going to make the whole petrol station explode. But basically, I should be doing something with my rickshaw now, but it's so hot, overly hot, and I can't really do much with it, but we'll see. Anyhow, I'm going to the BPP. Yeah, I used to like BPP. Did some lecturing of BPP one time, but I didn't mean BPP. BP petrol station. I'm going to go to the BP petrol station. I'm going to get some petrol. This is a kind of unbroken stream of cars that aren't letting me get out. I'll just have to force my way, like a bit of a wiejski ham, as they say. Okay, that's enough for one little film. I thought I'd just share with you a deeply unpleasant poster which is doing the rounds. It's not the first time I've seen it. It kind of went away and now it's come back again. Now there's so much of it around that if I show you in here, you'll see that there's actually a whole load of it. Three at a time are being shown up there. That's really not the best sort of thing to be showing. At the end of the day, what's its message? Twoja niemoc wspiera przemoc. It means a finger pointing at you. Your weakness, your lack of power, your lack of strength, your weakness, wspiera is supporting or underpinning or underlying, przemoc, violence. So the victims of violence have only got themselves to blame, pointing a finger of blame at the victim. That's right, you bloody victims, you're so weak, you allowed it to happen, butch up, don't be so pathetic, you victims of violence. It's your fault if people are violent towards you. And what is this? KPMG at the bottom, cutting through complexity. What a silly thing to do. What a silly thing to support. Really awful. I really expected better from KPMG, but then maybe I shouldn't have done. Maybe they're always on the side of the aggressor, I don't know. Certainly that's the message this poster gives, isn't it? The guy that you can see up there with his head at the ceiling, because he's very big, who's looking into the thingy, he's the Olympic guy who won all the gold medals for Poland for discus, isn't it? I think he's a discus thrower. I think he's going to Moscow for the sporting events now, but he's in second class, he's in business, not in the thing.